Hello, this is Empire of the Mind. I'm Dr. Bruce Gilley. In the last episode, we talked about the idea proposed by the Trinidadian writer and Nobel laureate V.S. Naipaul of a universal civilization. Naipaul was born in 1932 on the Caribbean island of Trinidad, which was occupied by Britain during the Napoleonic Wars in 1797 and eventually became an independent country in 1962. Naipaul saw how colonialism had created both the institutions and the ideas of universal civilization, allowing him to make the journey from parochial Hindu society in the West Indies to a global writer in Britain. In this episode, we return to Trinidad to meet Chanel Martineau, a newly minted law school graduate. Like many of her generation, Ms. Martineau fears the decolonized movement that wants to repudiate the British colonial heritage in Trinidad. I hadn't read that essay for a while, so I went back and I read it myself, and then I sent it to you, and you told me that you had cried when you had read that essay. Why is that? Why did it touch you?
Well, Naipaul is dear to my heart because growing up, there was this book, Miguel Street, that he wrote. And my mother, it was basically our bedtime story as children, like a collection of stories. And the journey that the character in that book went through was basically from, as he described in the Our Universal Civilization speech, a journey from the periphery to the center. The central idea that there is a universal civilization that connects everybody, it was very real, and it still is very real to me, but I feel like I could have a grasp on it because of the history that was available. And that is essentially why it resonated so well and it made me cry. It was some very ugly tears.
Right.
But
if somebody says to you, we need to decolonize Trinidad, what does that mean to you? Or what does that feel like to you?
I mean, people have said it before, so I can tell you how it felt. I feel like erasing history is not useful at all. And that is what that whole phrase means to me, erasing history. Because as I said, I would not be here if colonialism did not happen. I have Black roots, I have Indian roots, I have Chinese roots, I have all kinds of different roots, and I look like this. And people presume that I have antagonism towards my history, and I do.
People are feeling terrified by the decolonized movement because it seems to be an attack on the very foundations of equality and freedom that no society has ever succeeded without.
Decolonization to me is stepping backward because colonialism gave to Trinidad what Africa still does not have, in that the Western civilization that came here went through a whole long process of development before it was transplanted here. And we got a head start by it being transplanted here. So to take that away would be to take away history and to take away opportunities from this region of the world, essentially. And so I think colonialism was useful, and I don't believe in decolonization of anything.
So here's a brief history lesson about Trinidad and Tobago, which was independent in 1962 and became a republic in 1976. It's a country that's always veered closely to socialist revolution and anti-colonial collapse, but never quite fallen in that direction. Eric Williams, who was the prime minister from 1954 until his death in 1981, was an Afro-Creole who expounded something he called empirical socialism. So when people in Trinidad hear their leaders talk about the need for decolonization or socialism, they're acutely aware that what has so far been a successful economic and political system could very quickly unravel into a post-colonial disaster.
The degree to which bad ideas can permeate a society because of institutions like universities when they are few in number is terrifying to me. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it's terrifying to me, literally.